Hello, I am Ben Gamez. I invite you to see the special screening titled I.P.O, A Story of Progress. The last few years have been, to put it mildly, eventful. Donald Trump being president, the rise of white supremacy activities, the ongoing COVID pandemic, and the new threat of nuclear warfare being some of the major issues that have and continue to affect us all. But no matter how dire our circumstances may be, there will always be people who are committed to counter the conflicts found in modern times. And this is a story of an organization of people doing just that. In Chicago, Illinois, there is a diverse activist community who have unified to form the Independent Political Organization, also known as the I.P.O. The I.P.Os are dedicated to change the national narrative, to spread awareness for the need to expand Medicare for all, to push for affordable housing legislation, and holding police accountable for criminal activity being some of the many issues that they continue to strive for. The I.P.Os are protesting, fundraising, and expanding their influence in order to make society better for everyone. We will be seeing the perspectives of some of the active members of this organization, what influenced them to get involved, and how people can play a role in their continuous projects. We will see each other again soon, and please enjoy the film.
Doors closing.
It was late September of 2018 when I first got involved. I was told by my brother I should start connecting with them since they stand for the same things I stand for. My first job was working with Pete DeMay, who was running to unseat a Chicago alderman. I admired Pete for the fact he ran his campaign with no big business influence. And through Pete, I continued to work with this organization who helped him. They are known as Independent Political Organizations, or I.P.Os. The I.P.Os have 15 chapters and counting across the city of Chicago. Recently, they have been actively involved with organizing alongside Black Lives Matter protests.
By acknowledging the history of this country and acknowledging that we are coming from stolen land. So this is a country founded on settler colonialism, which profits off of environmental racism and destruction. And we would like to acknowledge the unceded land of the Sioux, Miami, Potawatomi, Peoria, Kickapoo tribes in which we reside, and we ask you to join us in acknowledging that these tribes' elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This violence against our communities has not stopped. As you all know, the past 4 or so months, I can't really keep track of time anymore, but has been absolutely horrible for our communities, especially in Chicago.
I'd like to shout out all the orgs who made this happen. We stand here today and every day with love in our hearts and a fight in our mind to make this world a better and more equitable place for us all.
Marching alongside labor union activists and protecting women's reproductive rights.
I hope that this is not the last time that we see here in the space. So not only is the space used for 33rd Ward working families, we hope that you and whatever efforts that you're organizing for find space here. If you need it for any reason, please reach out to us. This space is for us. This is for us to make this city, this country, what we need it to be. And for our neighbors, for everyone. And it's open. So that's not it's not a fake statement. I don't know. My language is not good on that one. But very much so. This is for you. Please take the space. And yeah, just thank you. It's going to be a long fight. We know that you guys are going to be there.
How did they begin?
The history of IPOs in the city of Chicago is kind of a long history, but it isn't one that is particularly well documented. Here on the southwest side of Chicago, the 25th Ward IPO is one of the older IPOs in the city, I would say. It got started in the 80s alongside the 22nd Ward IPO, and I think the 3rd or the 4th, I'm not entirely sure. This IPO was born out of the struggle of folks like Rudy Lozano and now U.S. Representative Chuy Garcia, who were all running at the same time that Mayor Harold Washington was running. And it was really kind of like a congress of people in the southwest side of Chicago, 22nd Ward, 25th Ward, 3rd or 12th Ward at the time, and they all decided that they were going to run people for alderman in different wards. And Rudy Lozano was one of them. Chuy Garcia was one of them. And out of these races, the IPOs, the ward organizations, built around these candidates.
So I first got involved with the IPO, I would say in 2016, after the Democratic primary, when Bernie Sanders helped build a truly progressive political movement, and not just in our communities, but throughout the whole country. It was the first time that I ran into the 25th Ward I.P.O, the independent political organization. I saw them, they were out on election day, they were working hard. I was actually working for Teresa Ma, as she was also running for state representative, and the first time that I seen the IPO, I felt a strong connection to this group. Many of them are still my friends. I consider them lifelong friends, comrades, and I felt a strong connection not just to the people that were part of the IPO, but also the political values, because I consider myself an independent, a political independent, not satisfied, right, with the political leadership at the time, especially with the disgraced Alderman Danny Solis, the regular Democratic Party of the 25th Ward and the city as a whole. I figured the 25th Ward IPO would be the best place for me to at least do the political work that I really enjoy doing in the community. What I pretty much really focused my work, again, is working with this group of IPO members is my field background, field organizing. I had worked several campaigns in Pilsen and 25th Ward and in the 2nd District as a field director. So I felt coming into the IPO during this time period was important because the organization needed the experience of somebody that understood not just the politics of the neighborhood and the community, but also the expertise in terms of like how to go out and canvas, how to go out and reach and recruit, how to base build. All those skills that I felt I had learned up to the years previously, up to 2016, I felt that the IPO was the best fit for me to get involved.
Ho ho! Hey hey! Ho ho! Hey hey! Ho ho! Carbonage has got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! Carbonage has got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! Carbonage has got to go!
We want clean air right now!
Right now!
We want clean air
Right now!
right now! We want clean air
Right now! Right now!
We want clean air
Right now! Right now!
We want clean air right now!
Right now!
We organized this march and rally because in 3 days we will have elections. Here in this ward, we have the power to elect a new alderman. For the first time in 16 years, we have choices. 3 candidates won their legal right to be on the ballot. This election is pivotal.
Above all, we say enough of the mad asphalt plant right behind us, right over here. A plant that Alderman Cardenas brought to our community without involving us in the decision-making process.
I got involved in, actually I was involved in the first election. One of the first ones was 2014, when that gentleman, Morphine, that he was running, but then I stopped and I joined in 2015. When I was asked if I wanted to join the IPO, I was interested because I wanted to see what was going on in Pilsen at the time. Because Pilsen was changing, the demographics were changing, people were leaving. And I didn't want that to happen, so I said, you know what, I better start doing something. And I figured I started joining the IPO. And then I got involved in 2019 with the election of Byron Sitcho. We all worked in that campaign. We knocked on doors, we spoke to different communities, we started talking to people, and I felt there was time to get things involved. Solis was already causing enough problems. I already known about him since the early 80s when he was at Harrison Park. And unfortunately, Solis was not living up to snuff as a member of the community, so we fought him. He lost the election. And it was a change because finally people were starting to work together, things were getting involved, people were finally opening their eyes to reality.
I would say the first time that I really got involved in activism was back in 2014 when I started at Loyola University Chicago. We were engaged in a struggle to make sure that Loyola University Chicago was a campus that was welcoming for students of color. I was part of an e-news publication called The Black Tribune that sent out a call to action about actually an issue of, harassment, racial harassment of students at another university in a nearby state, and that actually started the impetus of conversations about work here at Loyola, or about issues around race at Loyola University. And we were able to organize the largest demonstration that Loyola has ever seen back in 2015, I believe. And from there, I got involved in political campaigns, a mayoral campaign in 2015, and then a presidential campaign for Bernie Sanders in 2016. And that really is what kind of took me off in terms of activism and electoral politics. I started organizing with the 25th Ward I.P.O. Back in 2019, when I moved to Pilsen from the 40th Ward after I ran for City Council. It was a time when the I.P.O. was pretty dormant, and that was because so much work had gone on ensuring that they elected our socialist champion here in the 25th Ward, Alderman Byron Sitcho Lopez. And I was looking at all the different I.P.O.s that were being formed across the city, whether it was the 48th Ward I.P.O., 32nd Ward I.P.O., and I realized that we had an existing structure here. We had an independent political organization with an elected official who we did the work to actually get elected. And I wanted to make sure we were honoring that commitment to doing political work even after we win, and continuing to engage with constituents and working class people after we win. And in no uncertain words, I was a little bit jealous of all the work that everyone was able to do. And we wanted to replicate that work here, to continue that work here. And so, went to folks who I know had been doing organizing work here in the past, and some new folks, and asked if they wanted to restart this work and revitalize the 25th Ward Independent Political Organization. And so we did that. And here we are about a year, about a year and a half later. And we are 30 plus members, dues paying members strong. And I'm really excited about where we are.
Beat the May!
Thank you, everybody. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Buenos días, compañeros y compañeras. Today, we all stand together. Hoy estamos unidos. Somos residentes de McKinley Park, Brighton Park y La Villita. Some of us are native Chicagoans, and some of us come from around the country and around the world. We speak Spanish, hablamos español, inglés y cantonés, pero a pesar de nuestras diferencias, we stand united in our hopes for our 12th Ward community. We want a 12th Ward where our children's respiratory health is more important than $70,000 in campaign cash. We want to make thank you. We want to make the big corporations like Berkshire Hathaway pay to fix the environmental damage they've already caused in the Calmecca area. We demand a jobs program, a Green New Deal for Chicago to replace every single lead service line in our city and make the rich pay. Que paguen los ricos para reemplazar las líneas de plomo de agua en Chicago. Que paguen los ricos. Folks, every single day when I see my kids, when I look in Maggie and Anthony's eyes, I know that we have to fight for a Green New Deal. Esta es la lucha de nuestra generación. No podemos dejar este planeta peor para nuestros hijos. This is a fight of our generation. We have to do this now. We need a Green New Deal. We need to stop the polluters. When I say Green New Deal, you say yes. Green New Deal! Yes! Green New Deal! Yes! Green New Deal! Yes! Thank you very much, brothers and sisters.
Sometime after helping with Pete's campaign, I continued to be involved with I.P.O activities. I remember protesting for environmental justice. I remembered when I was involved in some important community meetings.
With us, and all of a sudden he faded out. He's with the Carmaca. Carmaca. What was his name? George? He was always with Billy, and then all of a sudden, he's talking about George. There's a little short guy. Who's that Carmaca? He's the board of electing guy there. He would teach programs for the elections and stuff. That guy. That guy, you know. Yeah, remember he did all. Right, he did all the training.
That Webster guy.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, a lot of elections have broken us up. Right?
Yeah, because what they would do is we'll take our people. Work with us.
So we gotta, stay strong and
yeah.
So it's 6:20.
And I remember the times when I would meet some important community activists and some new up-and-coming leaders throughout the city. A lot of times I would think to myself, it felt good to do something to help out my local community. However, what are the accomplishments that I.P.Os are well known for?
I'm incredibly proud of all of the work that we've done here in 25th Ward I.P.O. But I would say there are three things that really come to mind about the nature of our work and the kind of things that we have been able to do. I would say the first thing that I'm really proud of is our redistricting town halls that we put on. We have an obligation and a duty every 10 years to redistrict and to change the political and legislative boundaries for all 50 wards, all districts in the state legislature, and all the districts federally for Congress. And we took it upon ourselves to have town halls across the ward in neighborhoods like Chinatown, Pilsen, and Obla Homes to hear from residents about what kind of communities they want to live in and what they believed their ward boundaries should be. And so now that we're moving through the process of redistricting, we have all of this evidence, all of this work that shows that we actually listen to community and put their needs first in this process. So I'm really, really proud of all of that work. We've also engaged around the budget in the past 2 years heavily. And this past year we held a budget town hall. And the budget town hall, we heard from residents directly about their needs to address homelessness in our ward, their needs to zero out police funding so that we can put that money into places that really need it, whether it is arts and culture, the things that actually keep us safe. And that allowed all that community work allowed for Alderman Joe Lopez to be able to vote no and be able to stand on that principled vote, because we all knew that what we were getting from the budget wasn't enough for the working people in 25th Ward. And overall, I would just say the kind of organization that we have built has made me incredibly proud. The 25th Ward I.P.O. has had a very tough and tumultuous history politically, and that is really a microcosm of the 25th Ward as a whole. This is a very, very contentious political environment in the 25th Ward, and I think that the 25th Ward I.P.O. has done a really good job of moving towards a future where we are focused on governing in a way that addresses the needs of working class people first and foremost. And we are only able to do that because of the struggles that have happened in the past. and the fights that have happened in the past. But now we're in a position of strength and a position of power, and I think that that is incredibly that is something that I feel incredibly proud of that we've been able to do.
Call my alderman, telling him that we need a community center in Vernon Park because I'm tired of all the youth dying in that neighborhood. And my alderman, instead of saying that we need community space, he says that it's going to be more dangerous if we have a park in my community. And I'm tired of that. I feel that we deserve space not only to live but also to heal. Every time somebody dies in the community, I am traumatized. My neighbors are traumatized, and it's enough. This cannot go on. This is not how we should be going forward. We need space to heal. We need space to live, to have green space, and we don't have that in Vernon Park. In Vernon Park, we only have one park, and that is Vernon Park. We need more green space. And please, where you are, but we are here, we are alive, and we need to be listened to. So thank you, neighbors. Thank you for holding this today. You guys have listened to me much more than my own alderman.
So I've been involved in community actions, I would say, in high school when I had civics. I had a teacher named Mr. Lamb, and I remember that he was asking, some pretty serious questions, asking about the violence in our community, if it's something that I experience, and I know it too well. And I remember one of the things that he asked us was just like, how can we stop violence? And that to me was very, it was very important because something that I would have to sleep with every night, the violence, going on. I couldn't sleep. So it's how can we stop that? And one of the first things that came to mind was, decriminalizing cannabis. And, with Mr. Lamb and in my civics class in Kelly High School, it's, I wanted to hear what everybody else would say. If everybody else was thinking what I was thinking, and if I was the only one. And that's how I started getting involved in community activism. My path to power that I have found, in myself is being present every day, especially when you're in your own neighborhood, when you're in your home. Be present, having those conversations with your family. Why does this stuff happen? Stepping outside your door and being present with your neighbors, acknowledging and knowing who are your neighbors. And if you don't know them, then it's good to know them, and that's something that I've done. I've knocked on every neighbor on my block to organize a block party. This would be the third year that I'm organizing, the block party on 40th in Sacramento, because it's important to know the neighbors, and when you know your neighbors, you feel more comfortable. And honestly, it has made me sleep more comfortable knowing my neighbors.
So on election day, during the runoff, I had previously, taken a little break because I ran Byron's Field during the general election, which helped us get to the runoff where we got first place, and we knew now that we had to take on Alex Acevedo, again a remnant of the old dirty machine, nepotism. We knew that it was going to be a tough fight because I knew how dirty the Acevedos can be politically, right? Like how they slandered, they intimidation. So we knew that coming in that it was going to be a tough fight. It was going to be a brawl, a political brawl. So I remember taking that little break, and then coming back on election day. I signed up no longer as a field director, but I signed up as a regular rank and file I.P.O member. And I told us, tell me where you need me, right? So the whole idea about our political strategy was let's go to the heart of the machine. So I was assigned Alex Acevedo's home precinct, which is at Ruiz Elementary, and that's their base. That was the Acevedo's home base, and I said, send me there. Not just send me there to help Byron, but to send me there with our team, with our best I.P.O team. So we assembled an amazing team of precinct captains and folks that I had trusted throughout our whole journey to the I.P.O, and one of them being Kate Bowen. I remember Kate. She was my co-captain. And yeah, we went toe-to-toe. We got there early in the morning. We set up and we had a confrontation. It was a amicable confrontation with Ambi Medrano. We're old school, so we kind of showed each other respect, but we threw down. We fought hard. And I knew that if we were able to neutralize Alex Acevedo's precinct numbers in his own base, then we knew that we had a really good shot to beat him ward-wide. So what had happened that whole day was we saw them scrambling. They didn't know what they were doing. They were scared. When they saw me, they're like, "Oh crap!" Like,
they were
yeah,
nervous.
Yeah, because that was the role that I had played in election day, was to help neutralize their base. And at the end of the day, when the ticket came out, we tied that precinct, and that's never happened before. And I still have the ticket tape. I wish I could have brought it. Where Byron Cicho Lopez and Alex Acevedo, we tied. That's never happened. That precinct, they've always won, like, dominant, because that's their base. So what we did, and effectively, is we took out their advantage, right? And it forced them to go out scrambling, trying to knock on doors at the last minute, and it was a sign of frustration. They were not organized. We were bringing in our people to vote, and we got the job done. I would say that I knew this was the way to do it, because the fact that they were running such a dirty campaign, the Acevedos were running such a dirty campaign of, like, slandering activists and, like, you know, trying to put, like, you know, people's mug shots and just really lying, right? Just really nasty. We felt like I had to go there. I had to do it. I had to take a personal visit over there and say and teach them a lesson and say this is not what political leadership is going to look like moving forward. So I felt like us neutralizing them, it put them in retirement. They're done. They're done. And it's up to us to continue that work, right? So how do I feel about, like, explaining, like, you know, how can I explain Byron's victory that night? I would say, yeah, it was very emotional, because a lot of us, you know, put a lot of hard work into that, and we felt like it was a new day in the community, but we had to take care of business first, right? Which was, you know, send the political machine to its political grave. Say, you guys are done. No more business as usual. So I think, you know, bringing in Byron, it really brought in a fresh hope that new political leadership is going to help change the dynamics, right? Really put community members, political voices up front, right? No more pay to play, right? No more backroom deals. And I feel like, you know, Byron's leadership has definitely reflected those political values, and has helped carry the political movement that has helped us get here in the first place. So I would say definitely Byron's election day that day was historic, and the culmination of years of hard work that all of us have put into. And I'm very much proud to be part of that.
You know, this is going to be interesting. I was happy for Byron to win, because I knew it was a culmination of all the work that we had done. And, you know, it's a victory. The community finally got their voice. The community and those who had gone before us are probably proud of us, because they said that they weren't around to see it, but they knew their grandchildren, their children was going to be part of something beautiful, something wonderful. That's all I want to say. Well, there's a lot of struggles, but I think we made it. We did it. We pushed out the bad with the good. We pushed out the machine. We became strong. We just wanted people to be proud of their community, be proud that they have somebody that cares about it, is working with the people. And we want to continue that struggle. We want people to... What are the common struggles? Well, the common struggles is trying to survive a changing community when things are really changing. And when I fear that the future of the community is going to change, but at least the struggles are going to be there for people to understand and to look at those leaders that are there now.
A recent study showed that our community has one of the city's highest pollution, weakness, and environmental exposure to toxins. I have been a resident of the 12th ward since I was 7 years old. I came to this park nearly every day. I have scars in my knees from running around, playing here in this park, scars that a Band-Aid could heal. But the scars that this asphalt plant is leaving on our children, no Band-Aid could heal.
That's right. That's right. And the reason that we're coming together is to be able to support the organizations that put this together, to be able to support the communities that come together to ask for something that's very basic, right? We're asking for the right for us to be able to drink clean water free of lead. We're asking for the right to us to be able to breathe clean air that does not put toxins in our body. And we want to be able to play in the park and be able to grow our food in a place that's not just going to be good for us, but be good for our generations to come.
If someone were to ask me what do I want to do when I grew up, as a teenager, being a politician would not be my first answer. It wasn't until I started working in the unionized job when I realized the importance of community organizing. And as I continue to work alongside I.P.O members, my life perspective has changed. I find myself thinking about what leadership skills I need to obtain in order to make an effective leader and an effective voice for community progress. What does the future of I.P.O activism look like?
As far as like the future, yeah, I think the future of the I.P.O, I think it would be great to see the continuation of what was built during that political movement of the 2016 to 2019 political cycles, which is the coming together of citywide I.P.Os, to have some kind of shared vision, a platform, a collective platform that really highlights the political needs of our communities. I think we started some of that work, bringing together all the I.P.Os during that summer of 2018. It didn't start in that summer, but I remember like the whole thing was like, how do we keep our political movement, healthy and strong, and how do we support the larger political movement, independent political movement throughout the city strong? And I would really love to see that work being continued by the new generation of I.P.O members out there and leaders that want to carry the legacy. So I'm proud that that we've carried the work of the folks that were before us, and we're more than happy to share that knowledge and experience and encourage the new generation of I.P.O leaders to step in the political arena. And I'll be there.
I think the future of activism for I.P.Os in general in the city is that we move from a place of throwing stones. We move from a place of being the opposition to a place where what I.P.O is now, to a place of governing, right? We are in a place where, like I was mentioning earlier, we can have town halls that will be effective on the budget, that will ensure that our alderperson votes the way that the people in the 25th Ward believe it to be. We are able to do things now in terms of redistricting that makes it so that our community gets to decide what our boundaries look like, and not some politician who never comes back to the working people of our ward. That I think will be the future for so many I.P.Os. Again, moving from fighting to governing. That's one really important part. But I think that in the future, when we have I.P.Os in every single ward, we're going to be able to come together around a shared political ideology, a shared political analysis, a clear political analysis of the kind of city that we deserve to live in. Not just the ward that we deserve to live in, but a city that we deserve to live in. And we can pull together our resources, pull together our minds, and get involved in the mayoral race in a very, very serious way. In a way that forces anybody who's looking for the support to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago. They'll have to come to independent political organizations across the city to get our support. And hopefully we'll be united at that point in a shared political analysis that allows people to rally around a candidate for mayor that is actually going to bring, is going to fight for the liberation of working class people. And I think that is something that I'm really looking forward to in the future for all independent political organizations, including our own. There are a lot of ways that folks can get involved in I.P.Os across the city, and even our own I.P.O. One of the most important parts of being in an I.P.O. is the electoral process. You have an opportunity usually to endorse candidates in local, state, and federal elections. Being involved on those electoral committees, on those endorsement committees, is so important It's sometimes seen as thankless work, but it's an opportunity to create a process that's fair to everybody and allows for democratic participation in who ultimately your I.P.O. may decide to lift up to run for alderman, to run for a state rep, or to run for state senate, and so on and so forth. So getting involved in the endorsement parts of your I.P.O. is really important. Also, joining your steering committee. I'm the chair of the zoning board I.P.O., and so I'm a part of the steering committee. And in many ways, it is, yes, it is again thankless work, but it's work that, if you have a vision for what your ward should look like, what your ward should be, that's the place to be. Your steering committee is the one that represents the beliefs and the values of your political organization. And it is an honor to be in this position. It's an honor to work alongside comrades in zoning board I.P.O. Not the easiest work. It is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done.
I would definitely say one of the common struggles of I.P.O. is just staying together, right? I think one of the biggest challenges that we faced as an I.P.O. is whenever there's like a force of especially independent political power, there are going to be forces that are going to try to break it up, right? Unfortunately, we had a split in the I.P.O. Because of that power struggle. So I definitely think one of the important things to reflect upon that is unity, especially not just within local I.P.O.s, but the whole citywide I.P.O. movement, right? Is working together, sticking together, keeping the work moving forward. Because our I.P.O. is a perfect example of when things don't go well, when there are disagreements, when there are political disagreements, there's disruption, there's disunity, right? And yeah, that was also part of our journey, unfortunately, is to how do we work with folks that don't agree with us politically? And how do we preserve our spaces, right, for the true political independent values that we believe and fight for? So I would think that's one of the common struggles, is just staying united, keeping the work together, staying independent, not letting the Democratic Party try to take advantage of us and say, hey, support these machine candidates that take developer money. Don't insult our intelligence and think that we're not going to do our homework. Don't think that we're not going to know who's who, right? So I think that's another thing too, is staying independent. That's the key word of being part of an I.P.O. Another one of the things that I would say is a big reason for folks to join the I.P.O. is, again, knowing that we live in Chicago, a very deep political city. It's important to organize, right, and recognize the history, the political history of the city, and knowing that there is a better way, right? There is a better way to lead and politically, right? And I think the I.P.O. is definitely the best example that I have seen throughout the years, my 15 plus years in doing this great work, is that the I.P.O. was the only space, as I had mentioned earlier. Had I not connected with some of the folks that I was working with, like Ruthie, right, like Rosa, Javi, many other folks that I think were part of this core group of the I.P.O. That's why I think folks should join, right, and be part of something. Organizations are people at the end of the day. Organizations is not just about ideals. It's not just about ideology. It's not about money. It's about people and values. So if you're someone that's out there that truly believes in better values than what we're showing in Chicago politics, then join the I.P.O., right? Become a rank and file member. Put some work in. Help build community. Help show your neighbors that we don't have to vote for the same old people, right? That we have political power. We show that in the 25th Ward. So I strongly encourage folks that are fed up with the regular pay-to-play politics, are tired of the same old, and it's not necessarily a Democratic Republican thing. Again, the I.P.O. is hey, we're our own political force in the city of Chicago, right? So I would encourage folks out there to sign up with their local I.P.O. or start an I.P.O. If that's not what's happening in your local community, because we do have a really great network of I.P.O.s in the city that we support each other.
I think the general public should know about I.P.O.s, that we need your help. Every single I.P.O. across the city would be enthralled to have you be a part of it. This work is not paid generally. This work is very difficult. It is hard to hold elected officials accountable, and it's hard to hold party structures accountable, it is not easy to hold even each other accountable. And I think that these independent political organizations are a vehicle, they can be a vehicle to building solidarity across your ward, across people that share your political ideology and your analysis, that your ward can be a ward that works for everybody, not just a handful of people. And so it should be something that people want to invest in, they want to spend their time in, because it gives you camaraderie and access to people and power in a way that you otherwise wouldn't if you're not collectively working around a shared vision of what you want your ward to be and what you want it to look like. And so I would say that I.P.Os are your friends. I.P.Os are people that you can work alongside, stand with you, and to build a city council that is actually responsive to people. So again, at my core message is just getting involved in your own I.P.O. I mean, if there's no I.P.O. in your ward, starting one, because our liberation as Black and brown and working class people is only possible if we're all involved in that process.
So I'm here because I want a better city, a city that's more equal and just, where everyone can breathe clean air. And I think the only way we can really do that is if we completely change our priorities. And so right now, I think we live in a city that prioritizes police and putting people in prison. And I think we need to stop that being our one solution to all of our problems, and instead actually helping people, helping our communities so they can actually grow and live prosperous lives and breathe clean air.
My name is Sarah. I came out today because our alderman has completely ignored us, no matter if it's, a simple complaint or if it's the pollution in the parks, Douglas Park and McKinley Park. And so we tried to contact him to support CPAC, and he refuses to even speak to us. So that's why we came out to his house today to protest. Why are we protesting for CPAC? Because we want the money that's spent for police to be spent on libraries, schools, mental health, healthcare, parks. We want that money to be spent where it actually makes our community a better place to live for everybody, instead of the police just protecting the riches of the wealth. And we need a transformation in this city. We need a transformation in the way that our money is spent and in the way that we view each other. And I think that CPAC and community control over the police and looking at as an entity of our own will give us that.
Our ward! When I say CPAC, you say no! CPAC! No! CPAC! Now! When I say justice, you say no! Justice! Now! Justice! Now! Alright, let's make some noise! Thank you for coming out today. This is a really important moment because we have the opportunity to pass real justice and accountability in the city of Chicago. Real solutions on the table. So are we ready to walk over to George Cardenas' office and demand that he support CPAC and that he demand that he support that council order that's on the table right now in order to establish that mental health network? Are we ready? Yeah! Well, why don't we, let's go and march and make sure that he gets that message. So who's gonna lead us off with these chants? Who's ready? Maria, are you ready? I'm ready! All right, let's go.
I think Chicago is in a very important position because Chicago is the only city in the country to have local school councils. There is no other city, no other state that works as locally as local school councils. So I feel that right now we have an opportunity to inspire and empower people to continue to run for local and national positions on committees, just, you know, to work collectively with other people. We're in a, this is like, it's like, I don't want, it's a break it or make it almost, and that's what we need to do. Continue to push people that, you know, that care about the individual rather than in the corporations. You know, I just want to believe in my people. I want to believe in other people that are like me. I believe in my society. And yes, that's what I say.
Thank you for watching this movie. I hope you enjoyed it almost as much as I had fun making it. And I would like to share some final and honest thoughts with everyone. This movie almost didn't happen. I've had a lot to do in my agenda for the last few months as I'm getting ready for a big transition in my life. And I've been overwhelmed with the thought that I am not the best person to make this movie happen. But then I thought to myself of important advice a mentor has given me once, is that we all have an important role to play in the society we want to live in. And no matter how big or small that role may be, is always determined by that individual's actions. The activists of the I.P.O network have been so inspiring and so genuine that I just felt like I had to make this project into reality. I guess you can say I was fulfilling my societal role. And as a closing statement, I would say, no matter how overwhelming we may feel about the many problems we're being faced with, we are in this together. And as long as we continue to improve ourselves and our world around us, we're getting that much closer to the society that we need to be. Thanks again for watching, and always continue the journey for a better tomorrow.